Where's the chin pointing? The chin is pointing to the right. What about the ears? The right ear is higher and the left ear is lower. Let me ask, is his right ear clearly more forward and the left ear further back? Hey, look here. Okay, it is. So his head tilts to the left side, then turns to the right side. The whole chin is pointing to the right, like this, right? And then are the ears, is the right ear higher and the left ear lower? Is this the shape? Yes, this is the shape, but the ears don't have a clear front to back difference, though there is a clear height difference. Do you have scoliosis? I'm not quite sure yet. Come over here and stand in this spot, then slowly turn your head to the right so that I can get a better look. That's rotating to the right. Now rotate to the left, okay? Is it stuck on the right side? Right, he can rotate to the left normally, but it's stuck when rotating to the right. If it's stuck to the right, that means his atlas is rotated to the left. If it's rotated to the left, then the chin pointing to the right is correct. If the atlas is rotated to the left, the right ear should be in front and the left ear behind. Now do it again. March in place for a moment. There's definitely a problem with his atlas. Strange, this time most of the models coming up have their left side behind, and that's unusual because in most cases it's the right side that's behind. So it's because their atlas is rotated to the left that they've become patients and ended up as models on stage. His right nostril is lower and the left is higher, same with his eyes and eyebrows, right? So the height of his eyebrows and eyes, as well as the direction of his atlas and axis, are all the opposite of what's normal. Normally isn't the right side higher. Whichever side bears the weight, that side is higher. So at this point, you need to check if he's left weight bearing. If he's supporting on the left, then which side is the hip line higher? The left side is higher, so turn your back to everyone. Is his pelvis higher on the right and lower on the left? Let me take a look. He really is. He really is. It's low here and high here, right? So that means the second face and the first face don't match, which means there's a disconnect from here to here. Yesterday, we specifically talked about which disconnects are relatively more severe. Why is it here? Because there are internal organs in between, so it's related to the function of his internal organs. Let me ask you, do you have any stomach discomfort? Yes, I do. Then that makes sense. He said there are polyps and inflammation. Where do you have polyps? There are polyps in both my intestines and stomach, yes. When you had your physical examination and did the endoscopy, did they remove them? Yes. See, whatever we talk about shows up. As long as the pelvis and the face are disconnected, there will definitely be problems with the internal organs. For some people, it shows up in the intestines, for some in the stomach, some in the liver, some in the pancreas, some have blood pressure issues, some have blood sugar issues. Now, since his intestines and stomach have problems, how is his metabolism? Constipated? Both constipated and having diarrhea, alternating between the two. This is called autonomic nervous system dysfunction. And do you sometimes feel cold and other times feel hot? Sometimes you feel drowsy and sometimes you can't sleep at all, right? Lately, you haven't been able to sleep, isn't that so? This is a very typical case of autonomic nervous system dysfunction. And what happens to people like this? People like this tend to have mood swings. They can suddenly feel inexplicably happy and other times inexplicably down. I'm basically describing you, just need your ID number, right? Yes, so this is an issue that goes from the pelvis to the face all the way up to the head and face. This is my major course at the end of this year. Right now, I'll teach you how to at least see clearly where it's disconnected. As long as this section is disconnected, the internal organs will definitely have problems. It could be constipation or loose stools or a lack of appetite or acid reflux, bloating or heartburn. It could be unstable blood sugar or blood pressure issues or gallstones or even intestinal obstruction, prone to intestinal obstruction or things related to that. The appendix, and for women, uterine fibroids, chocolate cysts, and uterine or ovarian issues are common. Such persistent gynecological diseases often stem from these. Seniors are also prone to heart problems, lung nodules, and pulmonary fibrosis. It may seem completely unrelated, but over time, it's like you're twisting from below in one direction and from above in another, so all the contents in the middle get twisted like a rope. How could they possibly function properly? It's impossible. So, because the internal components have changed like this, it affects how you feel, and your feelings turn into emotions. And over time, this forms your personality. That's why it's relatively difficult for such people to establish a healthy gut microbiome. And then frequent visceral fascia release won't help if the outer cylinder is twisted. Issues still arise. This case shows a loss of compensation where the pelvis and upper body are disconnected. You must check if the heel and pelvis are also detached, breaking the lower segment. Worse is when both segments disconnect, causing a complete loss of body compensation. Training in this state, like Pilates, only causes more problems. Whether it's weightlifting or running marathons, none of it works. After training, the most serious issues don't show up in the body because he's young. Second, his muscles are more developed than other women, so the problems are most likely to manifest in his internal organs, and secondly, in his emotions. So he can still train, but it's just very complicated. Let me take a look at your feet. Are you married? Two kids already. Okay, let's look at his feet. These are not the feet of someone his age. If I let you look at his feet and guess his age, how old would you think he is? They look a lot like the feet of our elders at home, don't they? There's a saying that goes, a person ages from their feet first. All the things our ancestors said, I've verified them for you in my classes. These are the conclusions drawn from thousands of years of life experience. As for his feet, after you see them, you wouldn't even know where to start. You can train them. There's nothing difficult about it here, as long as you're truly committed. Turn to the side and show everyone. Look at his little toe. The toenail is gone. Do you know why the toenail is gone? It's not because of degeneration. It's because his toenail originally pointed toward the ceiling, but now it points toward the inside of the shoe. So with the shoe here and without walking, it gets worn down like this. When he was very young, it was already gone. That means from a very young age, this toe was suspended and he didn't like to walk. You'll notice that the big toe and the little toe are very important. Between them, there's a muscle called the abductor hallucis muscle. The abductor hallucis specifically connects the lateral and medial longitudinal arches. The abductor hallucis is the widest part of the transverse arch. So, is the big toenail lifted up? The little toenail points outward. Therefore, the line between the two Malchus, then there will be a complete problem. That's why it's prone to calluses and its transverse arch collapses. In other words, it can't connect the lateral and medial longitudinal arches. Do you know what it means to connect the lateral and medial longitudinal arches? It means that your sole forms a triangle, and only a triangle is stable. But if your big toe is lifted and your little toe twists outward, the base of your triangle is gone. With only two sides, it will wobble everywhere. So, for people like this, it's impossible to train the arch of the foot. If you want to train your arch, you need at least 3 points. The heel, the ball of the big toe, and the ball of the little toe, when these 3 points are connected, they form a triangle. Only then do the other muscles inside have meaning, and only then can they provide stability. If the calcaneus, heel bone, shifts, the big toe shifts, and the little toe shifts, then there's no stability at all. That's why their emotions are unstable, their digestive function is unstable, they're constipated one moment, have diarrhea the next, sometimes drowsy, sometimes can't sleep, sometimes happy, sometimes sad. So all of their emotions are consistent with the structure of their body. It matches up. They're always swaying, always rocking back and forth. So, the stability of this triangle, this is what I'm going to talk about. In October, I'll be explaining to everyone how each muscle works together with our joints, what kind of contribution it makes to our balance and stability, and what kind of relationship it has with our emotions and our internal organs. As for you, what should you do first? Start by soaking your feet regularly to promote circulation in your lower limbs. And which city are you in? Zhuhai. In Zhuhai, are there any coaches who attended my classes in March or June? Only then will you possibly understand this. Actually, in the end, it's only after you've completed all 3, March, June, and October, that you have a complete understanding of the foot. Then, when you encounter clients like this, you'll be able to address their foot issues. Only after you fix his feet can you possibly address his other issues, because his feet and pelvis are also disconnected. So this is a big task. His calcaneus is severely inverted, his big toe's distal phalanx is lifted, and his little toe is twisted over here. Now facing everyone, take a look at his little toe. This is called little toe inversion, with the pinky toe turning outward, corresponding to the little toe turning inward. If you see his little toe is inverted like this, his big toe valgus must be quite severe. If you only look at his little toe, right? Because the degree of inversion in his little toe is very severe. Then, facing everyone, you'll notice that the big toe on his right foot is not severely valgus. His big toe is not severely turned outward, but his little toe is extremely inverted. So, in most cases, the degree of inversion in the little toe corresponds to the degree of valgus in the big toe, but in his case, they don't match. This means that the small muscles in his foot are in a state of disorder, as well as during his gait. His foot lands in an inverted position, but after it lands, when he pushes off with his big toe, there's no rotation. There's no twisting motion. That's why his big toe doesn't turn outward. Normally, after excessive inversion, when you push off while walking, your heel turns inward, and with that twist, you press down on the distal phalanx of the big toe, which is what pushes it into valgus. He doesn't have that. If he did, his big toe would turn outward. So, what's his problem? During the landing phase, because his calcaneus is excessively inverted, the outer edge of his foot bears too much weight when landing. As a result, his little toe becomes severely inverted. All his support is concentrated on the ball of his big toe because the ball of his big toe presses firmly against the ground. So he doesn't twist outward. This is a person with a very excited sympathetic nervous system because he puts even more pressure on the front 40% of his foot. His calcaneus can't break anymore. Did you have a flash marriage? How long did you date your husband before getting married? Pretty fast, right? I could tell right away. She met her boyfriend and got married very quickly because she puts pressure on the big toe joint. People like her are very impulsive. They tend to rush into marriage discussions and make impulsive purchases. Do you often buy things on impulse? You do, right? So she's the impulsive type because her heels can't stop her at all. She puts all her weight on the ball of her foot. As for you, you act quickly, but you also give up quickly because both your upper and lower parts are disconnected, so you can't sustain things. That's why I originally wanted to find you a coach in Zhuhai, but there wasn't one, so you just took the ferry to Shenzhen, which is very fast anyway. Welcome to Shenzhen. For your situation, you'll need at least half a year. You need to rebuild everything from the foundation up. It's like completely renovating and rebuilding a house that's 30 years old. But once it's rebuilt, you'll be beautiful from the inside out, and your insides will be healthy too. Otherwise, even though you're so young, you already have polyps in your intestines and stomach. If you don't remove these polyps over time, they can easily become cancerous, you know? So for people like this, after being in a state of decompensation for too long, their internal organs are prone to pathological changes and problems. I originally kept the ones that didn't fit the situation. I temporarily kept them, but then an even more complicated case came up. Are there any that are a bit more normal?